It's February 24th, 2020, and it is 6:45, and we'll begin our Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Can we please have a roll call, Liz?
We're already pledging. We're all here.
Oh, well, let's stand for the pledge first.
That is the next order on the agenda. Right on the money, guys.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now can we try roll call?
I'm going fast.
Bryce,
Here.
Butsu,
Here.
Eshman,
Here.
George,
Here.
Hayden,
Here.
Robinson,
Here.
Skornica,
Here. Thank you.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Support.
Motion by Councilman Hayden, supported by Councilman Butsu. Any questions, concerns on that? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next up is the approval of the minutes for February 10th, 2020.
So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Support.
Motion by Councilman Eshman, supported by Councilman Robinson, trustee, and writing and talking at the same time. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Item 6 is the unfinished business, of which we have none. Item 7 is also none. That is our new business. Proceeding to item 8, which is our adjournment.
There's no nil there, too? No.
Make a motion. Support. Colleen got it.
All right, give me a second. All right, motion by Councilman Skornica, supported by Councilman Robinson at 6:47. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need a new brain. Thank you very much. And good evening. It's February 24th, 2020. Welcome to the regularly scheduled Village Council meeting. It is 7 p.m. and we'll get started. Can we please have you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Mark, could you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please, can we please have a roll call?
Bryce,
Yes, here.
Butsu,
Here.
Eshman,
Here.
George,
Here.
Hayden,
Here.
Robinson,
Here.
Skornica,
Here. Thank you. Next up is the approval of our current agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented, amended.
Support.
amended.
That's what it says here.
Presented, period?
As presented.
Yeah.
I'm just reading that.
Gotcha.
All
In
right.
case.
Any further questions, comments, discussion?
Who was the support on that?
I did.
Thank you.
Larry.
All right, motion by Councilman Butsu, supported by Councilman Hayden. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Item 5 is the approval of our council minutes. Those will be the minutes of the regular meeting from December 16th, 2019, the special meeting December 20th, 2019, the regular meeting from January 27th, 2020, and the special joint meeting from January 28th, 2020.
Do we want to go through these one by one since there's some corrections on most of those?
It's up to you guys.
Yes, I think we should go one by one.
So do we have a motion for the December 16th?
I have a few minor changes that I can give to Liz after the meeting.
Hold on real quick. We need a motion for the December 16th first, and then we can discuss, please.
Okay, so we make the motion to approve the meeting minutes, and then we discuss some, the changes. Okay, make a motion to approve the village council regular meeting of December 16th, 2019.
Support.
All right. And Colleen, you had some thoughts?
Yeah, just have some minor changes that I can get with Liz after the meeting.
Well-
They're not changing any content.
Well, if they're changes, they should be done before we vote and approve these, because we shouldn't change them once we've approved them, I don't think.
No, but what she is saying, I think, to the council is, she's got some noted changes that aren't affecting content of, but typographical perhaps, English usage or something like that, and she can present that to Liz after the meeting. You can just approve the minutes as amended, to have those minor changes in there, and just trust that she has, other than that, you have to go through every one.
Okay.
And it doesn't make a lot of difference to say, you know,
If it's a
put
grammar
a two
thing.
in instead of a,
Okay. Then in that case, I will bring attention to, under unfinished business A, there was a previous suggestion for correction. The motion had a roll call vote, and the motion should be shown as carried 4-3.
Right.
And that's already been noted and corrected in our packet here. So I guess we...
So we'll approve it as amended?
Yeah, so I guess we will make so approve the meeting minutes as amended, and any additional grammar/typographic corrections as noted.
Any other questions or comments on December 16th? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next up will be the December 20th. Entertain a motion for those.
Make a motion to approve the village council special meeting minutes of December 20th, 2019, as corrected in our packet.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Hayden, supported by Councilman Eschman, on December 20th. Do we have any questions or comments on those? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next up is January 27th. I make a motion to approve the January 27th meeting minutes.
Support.
Motion by President Price, supported by Trustee Futsu. Any further questions or comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And last up, we have the January 28th minutes from the special meeting, or joint meeting, I'm sorry.
Make a motion to approve the joint meeting minutes from January 28th as presented.
Support.
Motion by Trustee Hayden, supported by Trustee George. Any further questions or comments on this one?
I have a suggestion that under new business A, where it says that we had the resolution to adopt the Brandon Ortonville master plan as presented, since that was our plan, shouldn't that say adopt the village Parks and Rec master plan is presented.
I know the cover, it says the Brandon Ortonville Parks and Rec Master Plan.
Mhm.
I would think what we would want to say consistent with what the document is. Could we say, village council approve, or something like that, but I don't think we want to change the
But
document.
because we're approving our portion of it is what I'm getting at.
So would you want to say something line, the village's portion of the, or the village's section of the, something like that, or no?
I don't know, I kind of feel that although we were primarily concerned with ours, it required both boards to approve the final document as a whole, I believe, is what.
Right, but we're
the gist of this
just
is.
approving our portion. That's why I thought maybe we should just be specific to ours. Because the township is approving that, but it's, well, I guess I thought we should just be referring to what we approved.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking because it's
Village
just
Parks and
one
Rec.
document, we're approving that document. Even though there's portions of the document that don't pertain to the village, we're approving that document itself, not, only sections of it, I think. But I don't know. Dale, do you have any?
What
Well,
would Dale-
I think that the suggestion to make it clear that you're approving the village portion of the plan is what is appropriate. You can't approve or disapprove of the township plan,
Okay.
nor they yours. So I think the suggestion to say to adopt the Brandon Ortonville Master Plan village portion as presented would work.
Or just adopt the Brandon Ortonville Village Master Plan.
Resolution to approve
The village portion.
I would say to adopt the Village of Ortonville portion of the Brandon Ortonville Parks and Recreation Master
Yep.
Plan. So it'd be resolution to adopt the Village of Ortonville portion of the Brandon Ortonville Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
And then under the public hearing, being consistent with what we've done in the past as well, is to strike the second paragraph and entitle it, "One Member Public Address, the Township Board and Village Council."
For a public hearing, you put specifics.
You do? You
Yeah,
put the name?
this wasn't just like a general public comment, this was a
Okay.
public hearing.
Hmm. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none. Larry, would you like to make that as amended?
Okay, yeah, I will amend my motion to state, approve the joint meeting minutes of January 28th, 2020 as amended.
Support.
I was going to say, that's fine. Pat, is that okay to
That's fine.
keep it?
Oh, I'm
That's okay.
sorry.
No, you're okay.
That one.
Yeah, I had supported the original motion, so.
Motion
We got
by
unanimous support.
trustee Hayden, supported by trustee George. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries 7-0 as well.
All right.
Next up, item number 6 will be our acceptance items, and this includes the treasurer's report, the building department report, the ordinance violation report, and the board minutes for the planning commission from 2/4, the DDA from 2/10, and the township from 1/6. Item number 7 will be our disbursements.
I would like to make a comment on the ordinance tracking report, just if we could get statuses on these, actually all of them, one through 8. Well, 1 through 9, because that was January. If we could get a status of those, please.
So you have in front of you the disbursement report. Do we have a motion for that?
I think,
Right.
what were
She
you
requested a
asking
status
for? A
report.
status?
Yep.
Report, okay.
I have a question on we got to do the, do we get a motion on disbursements yet?
Please.
I make a motion to approve the disbursements in the amount of $16,322.16.
Support?
All right. Motion by trustee Skornicka, supported by trustee Hayden. Questions?
I just have a question on the Detroit Salt Company. I see that we have two, it looks like two deliveries. And I thought, I know we're putting some salt down, et cetera, but it seemed like the winter's been mild. Did we actually need that second, or did we already commit to that second?
Well, we did commit to it, but we needed it as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I mean, we're going to probably end the season with a lot more salt than we have in other years. But it's, because of the way the supply has been over the last several years, you can't turn it down when you get a chance to get it, or you may never get it.
Yep.
And we may need it
We
this
did.
week, looking at the weather forecast.
Yeah. Number 35.
Incidentally, just on that one item, if you ever get a chance to go by the DPW when they are taking the salt from the parking lot, putting it into that thing, it's like a miracle. I don't know how in the world Bob does it, and he does it with such a small crew, but you see all this thing, and there's no way that much salt's gonna go in that barn to begin with, was my thought when I'm looking at it. The next thing is, at the end, how in the world did you get it done? How did you get it to get in there? So we're really fortunate to have people that are as skilled as they are.
Number 35, were those locks completely replaced because of the lost key?
The front door lock only was replaced.
It was the whole lock was replaced?
Correct.
rekeyed, or?
And okay. And number 12, where were those exit lights installed at, or replaced, or just what, where were those at?
Old Town.
Old Town, oh, right, you know what, yep, I was looking at the Old Town Hall, yep,
Yeah.
okay.
And that was a result of the fire department's inspection. They're supposed to inspect our buildings annually.
And they didn't find it last year?
I have no comment.
Okay.
Any other questions on the disbursements? All right, motion by trustee Skornicka, supported by trustee Hayden. Can we please have a roll call vote, Liz?
Hudson,
Yes?
Ashman,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hardikoff,
Yes.
Rice.
Yes. Thank you. Next up is the public comments, and that would be at this time for agenda items only, so please step forward if you have something that you'd like to share. Item 9 is our consent agenda. We have nothing this evening, which leads us to 10, the trustee committee updates. And Mark, can we start down on your side, please?
The fire board did not meet this month because Dave, or Chief Guapas, was here at our last meeting, so I have nothing to report from there.
Parks and Rec, just, a lot of their winter activities, the dances, the daddy-daughter and the mom-son dance were big hits again on that. And, the winter sports thing, everything from volleyball to rec basketball and things like that, skiing, are rolling at this point in time very nicely. And I'll wait and discuss Parks and Rec master plan and grant applications and things when Liz brings them up. That's it for me.
Okay, Planning Commission met. We did review the quotes for updating the zoning ordinances, and a couple of the commissioners were not quite comfortable making a decision yet. They wanted a little more time to review, so we expect that we will have a decision on that at the March Planning Commission meeting.
Larry, I have a question.
Yep.
What are the type of quotes that you're seeing right now? Is that you're trying to negotiate it, or what?
No, we saw two quotes. There was just a little bit of differences between them, and one or two of the commissioners wanted to have a little more time to actually kind of compare and see exactly what that meant, because one had it broken down in different types of phases and stuff. But the pricing was very similar, so it's just a matter of in the end, deciding which one we think looks more comfortable for us.
Thank you. Dan?
On the roads, there's not a whole lot to report. Cold patching's going on. DPW's obviously repairing equipment to take care of the roads, but I was surprised not to see anything on the Crossman Park drain for this agenda. But I know we talked about it at length in our last meeting, and there was a concern about just protecting the creek. And I know we have many drains that go into the creek today, but they were put in many, many years ago. So what happened many years ago compared to what we know now today to protect the creek, I would just hope that whatever engineering project that we have designed and mapped out, that it is approved by, I would think, both the MDNR and also the Oakland County Drain Commission and/or, so someone's got to approve that, right? So I'm just cautioning that we go ahead and move forward with a design to dump water from that parking lot, that we at least get the approval from Oakland County and MDNR, especially if it's going into the creek. So that, I just wanted to comment to that.
Good point.
Even though we're just doing a repair, and then technically, we're probably safe, but I see where you're coming from on that.
If they're-
To protect us
Yeah?
from any further issues.
I think that if I remember, they did say something, if we look at it as a repair, we may be limited with what we can do in terms of changing what we already had in place. So we'll have to take that
Well-
into consideration, I suppose.
But I thought it was, okay, we're gonna repair a piece of it, but still put a new pipe into the into the creek, the discharge.
We'll have
So,
to see what the-
so that's to my point. I just wanna make sure we got ourselves covered when we actually, we spent a lot of money, let's make sure we don't have a screeching
done
halt,
right.
3/4 of the way through it, because someone decides to do, call MDNR or something.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And we certainly do want to protect our resource in the creek there. It's important resource.
When do we expect something to start moving on that?
Well, we're going to have, by the next meeting, we will have the actual quote to you of what it's going to take for us to get the drawings so that we can go out and bid. I had hoped to have it to you by now, but from a couple of delays, it'll be at the next meeting. And then you'll see what it is, and you will see in there what kind of permits and things we're going to be required to pick up. And you can be assured that all of those things are going to be looked at.
I'm just,
We're not going to volunteer for something that we don't have to with one of those agencies. If the Oakland County takes care of it, and it doesn't mean we don't have to have both of them in the state, then I'm certainly going to encourage them to get what we've got to get.
If they're willing to sign off on it, I'm
Right.
fine with Oakland County.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's because it is a significant expense. We've got to look at every option we have. But all of these things that we're talking about, we've been looking at all through the whole process.
I just know that we've had some major issues, everybody's aware. And just want to make sure we, with the flooding and everything else of people's homes, and
Right.
I know it's just been dragging on for a long time.
All right. Mark, what about you?
I have nothing to report for wayfinding. I had planned on reaching out again to Matt Bailey. I did not. And I haven't heard from him either. So this process takes quite some time, though. There's a lot that's involved. It just drags out. As we reported in our meeting, with DDA, approval and all that, we mentioned that then, so. But, yeah, nothing more to report.
Sounds good so far, thanks. Colleen?
Committee. The Historical Society did not meet, as they're closed for the wintertime. IT met this morning to go over solutions for the IT equipment closet. That's it for committee updates.
Do you have,
Thank you.
any status of what you guys are gonna do, or are you still working out?
I have to.
We've looked at a number of options for how to make the storage and how to make it effective and make sure that we keep things at the right temperature. And the individual from IT Right is going to come back to us with some estimates of cost on all of that.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. All right, next up is our new business, and first we have the MDNR acceptance of the grant resolution. Liz, would you like to share that with us?
Well, I included the cover letter that I received from Mary Carlock congratulating us that we've been recommended for the grant, and then there's like a list of things that I can do now, and one of them is to have a resolution to accept the grant funding. And that is all that I have on there for today. I know it's a little bit ahead of the game. We don't expect to actually get the grant probably until June or July, but they recommend that we approve the resolution now.
Sounds good.
I'd just like to comment that number one, I mean, we skipped right to number two, the resolution, but it's saying that we first need to finalize our legal description and boundary map, and it says, and I underlined it, the ones in your application may not be acceptable for the project agreement. Please review the requirements in the attached development guidelines. You must email these to me for review. So that,
that's been
before we
done.
do anything, got to be, what was wrong with it?
No, there wasn't.
It says may not.
Yeah,
May
that's
not.
just
May
a-
not be
a-
used.
yeah.
Right, may not be, no.
It's possible that it's
Right.
not, but ours is fine.
Yep.
Our boundary map and
Ones in
our,
your application may not
I'm
be
assuming this is like a
acceptable.
form letter
Yeah.
that
It
they
could not
send
be. It's
out that just
possible
covers
that-
all
Oh. Right.
possibilities.
could not be, not is not.
Yeah.
Or may not.
Right.
Yeah.
Might not.
This is just saying, hey, it may not, just, you might
All
want to
right.
make sure.
All right,
Good catch.
so we're good, though.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
So, can we entertain a motion for the resolution?
And if I might just give you one more update, I do not have the bids yet for the draft drawings or the engineered drawings. So I'll have those to you as soon as I get them.
Yep. Okay, so let me see. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-02-24.01, accepting the terms of project agreement. Is that the one? Yeah.
Yes.
For TIF-19-0192 as received from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, and that the Village of Ortonville does hereby specifically agree to appropriate funds, $11,000, necessary to complete the project.
Actually, 11,100.
Oh.
That's a typo on my part.
11.
Wow. The bucks in there.
Back up.
I'll see now. we're gonna-
11,100, necessary to complete the project.
So before,
Support.
so
All right.
for
Any
the-
questions?
The
Discussion?
resolution number on this resolution does not match the resolution in the motion. This one right here.
Right, it says .2 instead of .1.
Did we have, was this updated? What is this one?
Is 1.01, 1.02?
Oh, yeah, that's a typo. It should be 0224.01 on the actual resolution.
Okay, so the
That'll be corrected before it gets.
2020-0224, okay, yeah.
The motion is correct.
Because there's not
The
24
motion's
months
correct?
anyway.
The motion is
Okay.
correct.
All right.
So this is what's.
Any other
Yeah, let's just change that
questions,
to-
discussion on the
Motion was-
resolution? All right, and Liz, can we please have a roll call on
Good
that?
catch, Dan.
Who was the second on that?
Me,
And you wanted a roll call?
please, because it's funds.
Eschman?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Hayden?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Skornica?
Yes.
Bryce?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Next up will be the MDNR grant application discussion. Are we continuing?
I actually have a possible motion for you if you're willing to listen.
Oh, I'll listen.
Well, if we're gonna redo our ball garage this year, and we will be eligible for grant applications for this calendar year, after discussions with trustee George and Fred Waybrandt, now would be a good time to apply for a grant to update the backstops, the fencing. That could really make our ballpark really exceptional. And so, if the council were willing, the suggested motion would be to approve the next resolution in your packet, which simply states that we are interested in applying for another grant. The dollar amount I've given is an estimate only, because I don't think it's gonna be that much. But it lets the DNR know that we are intending on applying for another grant this year.
Okay. And our portion of that would be 15,000?
30%.
Like I said, approximate, that's a guesstimate. I think that's way over
If,
my estimation. I got the estimation in the dollar amount from trustee George and Fred, but I can't imagine it's gonna cost that much.
Yeah, those are ballpark numbers on
Yeah.
those.
For the ballpark?
Oh, yeah, ballpark. The type of grant is exactly the same type of a grant that Liz got through on the concession stand. So this is the exact type of grant. So that's a 30% match from us. 50,000, when I talked it over with Fred, he said, Pat, 50,000, they approved that. Sometimes just rubber stamp and let them go. So he said it's a good time to do it. So I would think it would go smoothly. So yeah, so all we're looking for at this point in time is what Liz said, just approval to pursue it, you know. And we'll get some more fine tunes on the details on what specifically is there. There's also things on the basketball courts, for example, on asphalting those. But yeah, it would be nice to continue it, to start with a concession stand and just finish it up so it looks real nice. So it's there.
when is this due?
The actual intent is due,
Is it
she would
April?
like it, well, the
April 1st?
application is due on April 1st.
Yeah, April 1st.
I don't have a due date for the intent, however, Mary would like to see it with our Parks and Rec master plan when she reviews that. Because she's not going to review our master plan if we don't intend on applying for a grant this year.
So the only thing that's going to be submitted is this single sheet of paper right here that you got in front of her on that resolution. So it's pretty broad.
And
But
we
it-
would still have to have a public hearing in March for public input if, you know, they so desire.
So when would we know? So is there somebody doing the legwork on the financials to upgrade the ball diamonds as opposed to just swagging it?
I have
like
not
that.
even, that would be,
Common sense. Yes, that'll happen. Yeah, I'll be working, we got March to work on that. I'll put some legwork into that. I'll get with Fred, who's been through this a lot. Liz is good, so between the three of us putting our heads together, we'll get some more specific bids out there.
Yeah, did these numbers, you said these numbers came from Fred pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, when you look at those grants, that 50,000 is a real common number there that they throw out.
Well, I mean, in terms of the cost for the ball, I know
Right.
that he's got a lot of plans that they've been working on
And he's-
fundraising for ball fields out at the
Exactly.
township
So
parks.
he's
I'm
he's
assuming
not,
he's familiar
he's
with
doing a
the
little bit
numbers.
more than a swag on that, but,
Yeah.
yeah, he knows the cost on those. He said
Okay.
it's a good number.
Okay.
And we'll get specific on
And
it
maybe
as we go
the
along.
township rubber stamps those, but they have a little bigger budget than we do, so we got to put a little more thought into it.
Yeah, we'll have some more fine
Yeah.
numbers.
But, you know, if we can get $50,000 worth of end result by
Upgrades.
spending only 15,000, that's
Yeah.
not a bad deal.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
And I know those fields, ball fields are used a lot, bring a lot of people in the town.
I was just gonna say, they're always, the programs are full and there's waiting lists on some of them, so it's definitely a fun summer there. I'm seeing the asphalting of the basketball court, that would be the repair.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that'd be
no,
perfect.
that would
No?
not be the
I thought
repair,
it
that
was
would be rip out and replace. Because the repair is gonna have to happen this
In the
season,
spring,
yeah.
but then, that's what I'm saying, we would only do the repair, not the whole thing, now.
spring, correct.
Right, okay,
Right.
perfect.
And I didn't have
Right.
basketball court in the whereas the first paragraph, so if you would like that added.
It's a possibility, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be nice
Yeah.
to, yep, have that repaired incorrectly.
So do we have the $15,000 in our budget to do that?
Well, since this wouldn't happen until the next fiscal year, we would budget for that when we do our budget.
Okay, good point.
So it's not in there now,
Correct.
and we'd have to find the money to do it.
Well, I'm assuming we already have a budget line item that typically would have some money for Parks and Rec and maintenance.
We
and
have a
things like
Parks
that.
and Rec Development Fund. That I think there's currently 10,000 in there.
Okay, so we might have to do a budget, or adjust the budget to increase that a little bit to cover this then. Okay.
Just because a note that on the bottom of this resolution, it has the wrong date for, you know, if you
Yeah,
were
I
to use
threw
the-
this
if you were
together,
to.
yeah, last minute, so it will be correct when it's submitted, if it were
Okay.
passed.
So are these updates, being that we just approved a Ortonville Recreation Master Plan, are these upgrades included in that master plan?
I don't
And
think
if-
that-
and if
In
it's not, I
general,
would
yeah,
like- I
in
mean-
general terms they are, Dan, yeah.
What?
In general terms they're there, yeah, for improvements, yeah.
What's that mean?
Oh, that means what I say, so these are specific
It's either
grants
yes or
right
no,
there.
it's either in the plan or
Well,
not.
you have a plan,
Well,
now
the
you have
answer would
general
be yes.
details, and this is a very specific item. So they may not have these specific items per se in the plan, but the general plan to improve your parks and maintain your facilities, I'm sure, is in the master plan.
I know this much, when the DNR looks at this, they'll look at our master plan
Right.
and see if they're okay with it, and then we'll find out, but I'm pretty sure
Well,
they
I'm
will.
asking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they will. Yeah.
You know, probably, especially if we include anything about, improving ADA compliance and accessibility, that would make it fly good.
Well, it's not specific, but there's a maintain and improve parks and recreation facilities is a
Yeah.
goal and objective.
Yeah.
I guess when we approved that master plan, we said it was going to be dynamic and we could add anything to it. My recommendation would be to add something specific to this grant application in our master plan for that.
I'm not sure if it's necessary, because the master plan is just, the plan is just that, it's a plan, and this is a specific
I'm just saying,
implementation of a step to try
The
to meet the
MDNR
goals
goes
of
to our
the plan.
master plan and find out it's not sufficient enough to support the grant application, then we're done. My point is, if it vaguely said something in there, why wouldn't we put an addendum into the recreation master plan now, so that when they do go in there and see it, it's cut and dry?
If we did that, though, wouldn't we have to go back to have that master plan reapproved by both the township and the village again?
No, I think that's what I asked at our last meeting about, if we make any changes to hours, I specifically brought that up, and I was told that if it's hours, we would not need to go back to both authorities.
Would we need
If-
another
did I
public
recall
hearing
that
to get
correctly?
input or anything like that on it?
And just as a point, if we do go back and adjust that, we will not be able to apply for a grant this year.
And I have two thoughts. We did not have specifically to redo the ball garage that was accepted. And if we put this in here and we don't get the grant, now we have that in our master plan. So the master plan is supposed to be a guideline for things that we find to fit that. If we find something that fits what our goals and visions are, we then use that. You don't have to write it out and spell it out. Like I said, we didn't with the other either, because then you're stuck with a project that we can't fund the $50,000 for. So I think to keep that fluid and basic versus, spelling out every single task we wish to do this year is different.
Yeah, I do know when we were looking at the master plan for the village, the regular master plan, that was one of the advice was make it specific enough that you can target certain things you want to do, but don't make it too specific to where you're locked into only one particular thing and you don't have flexibility. So that's the object. And I think the statement of saying one of our goals is to maintain and improve our facility, our existing facilities, I think that's specific enough, but not too specific where it gives us the flexibility to do something like this and have it covered.
There is something in here that does say refurbish athletic field surfaces as needed.
Okay,
Is that on the
that's good,
Brandon
too.
plan or the Ortonville plan?
I think this is just a general action program for both plans.
Yeah, for both those, so
Yeah,
there are
both.
portions that apply to both communities, yeah.
You may, as time goes on, as we've discussed before, these plans have to be fluid, they have to be something that you're reviewing on a regular basis. But the point, part of the point I hear being made is that we need to have something in our master plan that's specific enough so that if we're applying for a specific grant, that they recognize that we are wanting to do that. And that's been one of my concerns since I've been here and looking at what we do, is that we don't have enough where we say specifically this is what we're after, because the DNR and the other people who are approaching, they want to see that you have a history of this is what you've been wanting to do, but you just can't do it because of the funding. So I think that the point is well made, and what we need to do is go back and look at some of those, and if we have some realistic goals, include it. Because it's not, we can make that wordage general, but I think that if you stretch toward the idea of having the wordage so general that anything will fit, nothing's going to fit.
And just keep in mind that we are competing against these dollars in other communities, and when they go to look at our plan versus the other communities, I would think that we would want to be detailed enough to where we would outwin maybe somebody else's application.
So here's where we're at. We make the change and we don't apply, or we apply and we possibly lose it and consider making the change for the next round. Those are our two choices. So we might as well go ahead and apply as is, meanwhile, change it and prep it for what we choose to have for our next round. But if you go changing it now, we don't get to apply this year.
I also
And we
think
can
that-
also use the interpretation, or we can use the language that's there, and as we make our application, make sure that way we word our application is to say, this is what we meant. We're saying.
And we're building upon what we received last year. This is then the next step on that. That's a natural,
And
following.
why wouldn't we be able to apply for this year? Because if by the time we make an amendment, like to make an amendment tonight,
Because the plans were due to the DNR on February 1st in order to apply this year.
The plans?
The plan.
The
yeah.
master
Parks-
plan.
The Parks plan.
So if we make an amendment, then we can't use the amended plan to apply for any grants this year.
Can we
So that-
amend it
yeah.
after we apply for it as just a progression as,
Well, sure,
Right.
because
okay.
if we
And-
apply
and
for
we can
something.
use it towards this grant then?
No, that wouldn't be, your amendment wouldn't go towards this grant, but you can amend, and we would resubmit our plan next year, because every time we apply for a grant, we have to resubmit our plan.
So again, our two
Send it through
choices
for-
are to submit this as is with our current plan, or to wait, change it, and submit it next year. Those are the two choices that we have.
Well, I think it makes sense to go ahead and submit.
Sure.
If we can get the money this year. But I think Dan has a valid point there, and Dale also, that we probably do want to incorporate more specifics. It's unfortunate we did not have more time to try to review and get more input into the plan prior to the need for approval. So maybe we take that as a lesson learned and try to collect all those topics during the year and see if we can come up with more specific project ideas that we can incorporate into it so we can have a better plan for next year's grant application process.
So I would like to, I would recommend then to council that somebody draft a plan on what we're going to do with the ball fields and put it in a file. And when we're called out on our master plan, we go to our file and said, this is what we had intended that's in our master plan. So going back to be prepared, all right, if they ask us, this is all we got? No, we got, here it is, and it's our file. So my point is, we need to be prepared. And I think we need to have a design on whatever we're going to do with those ball fields in someone's file, so that when somebody calls us out on it, we have something to show them. Not sit there and roll the dice on whatever we have in
Well,
the
it'll-
master plan.
That will also have a date to it as well, so it's not going to be like we did it the night before, like sometimes we get, so.
So our current question is whether we choose to have a resolution that we are looking at in front of us, whether we choose to have that currently right now. We can talk about the other as it's a separate item. The question is, are we going to proceed at this point?
I think we should also, we should move to keep it while we're on track, is maybe put on the agenda for next month that we can make the amendment, so it's already in there, the master plan's already done, and then it would just show next year that we had it in 11 months prior to that, so that we can, put that on the agenda next month for it. Otherwise, it might fall through the cracks, and we're going to be discussing it next year, that we
Yeah.
didn't take action, so let's keep the action going and get it completed.
And
That's what
Dale,
Dan said, we'll put that on next month.
Well, would you be able to word it so that it makes
Yeah,
sense?
and really, the council wouldn't have to take specific action to have us do what Dan has suggested in getting a plan together and getting a program together of what we would like to see to support the more generalized view of the, and I'll see that gets done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be done by the next meeting, but
That's fine.
it's a good point, because when you're talking about the details of these things, if we have something general in the master plan, we've got the specifics in the program, and they don't need to know when it went in.
Exactly.
Okay, so it gets done.
All right. So-
And,
Sooner than
later.
since we do mention in the second whereas about is supported by, it might be good if we could try to find the specific language or the specific pieces that support that out of the plan and include that in here too, so that we can refer to exactly what pieces of the current plan are supporting this.
And they receive that.
You're talking
when
about
we
in the generalized
do the
statement?
Yeah, on
application.
this one here, where it just says, whereas the
Whereas.
proposed application is supported by the village and township joint 5-year approved Parks and Recreation.
But you have
Plan.
to remember, this, what Liz has put here for you to look at is really a generalized statement, and it's a
Yeah.
signal to the person from the state to say, we are going to look at applying for more. It's not the plan. We'll have all kinds of specific documents that we have to do. We may have to have additional hearings. All kinds of things may occur. But this is just for that person to put in their list of cubby holes. This is coming from them.
Okay.
So I don't think you need to go back into that.
So this is basically just getting our foot in the door, so to speak.
Yeah.
Bingo.
It's sending a signal to them that we have further interest.
Yep,
And it should be of some interest to them, because they've just said that they're going to grant us this money.
that's right.
So we're talking about doing things to put more of our money in to make further improvements. So I think it helps at both ends.
And Liz, you said you had a suggested motion for that?
Well, I don't have, the suggested motion would be that the approval of the village council trustees supports the submission of approved resolution.
I didn't know if you had, thought you said
Well, I
you
think
had
the
one. I'm sorry.
resolution that you have,
So you want a motion on this tonight, then?
Yes.
I would like.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll give a shot at it.
It's resolution number, and the number at the top is
Yeah.
correct.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 2020-02-24.02, authorizing submission of a natural resources trust fund grant application. With commitment for a financial match contribution of up to $15,000 or 30% of the total project cost of $50,000 during the 2020 to 2021 fiscal year.
Solid. Do we have support?
They all have questions?
Do we have support for that? Anybody?
Support.
All right. Questions, comments?
Dale, you were trying to say
no,
something?
that's.
You're good?
That's
Oh, I
exactly
thought
what
you
I
had
think
something.
you should do.
Okay, good.
So we're
Any
us-
other questions, comments?
We're using this actual resolution as it's typed here? Are we taking corrections or amend?
What did you want?
Well, he
corrected?
took pieces of it out.
Well, for the
I,
motion.
yeah, I think she said she was going to correct the data on the bottom
Yeah.
already.
The
Okay,
date.
but you
on-
mentioned,
And basketball asphalt.
.02, and whereas the other one was .01 on
Yeah.
the original, on the other motion.
The
Right,
other
so
one
this
was
would be two.
.01, this is
Okay.
motion, resolution .02, yes.
.02.
Clarification.
My suggestion was on the resolution that it just states the Village of Ortonville Council, and then whereas the application is supported by the Ortonville Village and Brandon Township, approved Parks and Rec Master Plan, and then the third paragraph, that it's Village of Ortonville Council.
Okay.
And are we considering including the basketball asphalt as well?
I can add
If it's
that.
going to fall underneath that amount?
There's no reason not to add it.
Right.
Like I said, I would like to see it if it falls in there.
Oh, the basketball?
Mhm.
Instead of just patching it, you know, go over and do it correctly. Any other further questions, comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we
Opposed?
need a roll call? That's
No.
weird.
Motion carries 7-0, just for the resolution.
Just to apply now?
Right,
Okay.
because if we get it, then we would approve it.
Okay,
right?
yeah, makes sense.
Good question. All right, item C will be the bicentennial trees. We discussed April as the 2020 celebration for Oakland County. Bob Hoxwell has given us recommendations for the planting, and he gave us 3 different places to look at and consider. And so I just thought to continue the discussion with that. And if you have any questions, obviously talk to Bob. And if you have any other places that you would like to see, or a question as to why they are where they are, please get a chance to do that. And then we can approve that at our March, because that will be going in April. So just to give you a heads up on the update on that one. And
We're ordering,
no,
tree
that's totally
bundles?
different. Just one tree being planted in celebration. There's an oak tree being planted in every community that chooses to participate for 2020, and that will be a countywide oak tree planting. The trees that you see in there would be the trees that Dale had ordered as well. So it's
Oh, okay.
a same celebration, different program. Sorry, didn't mean to confuse you.
okay. Yeah, DDA has that event coming up in the spring. That
The spring show.
flower garden expo thingy or whatever. That'd probably be a good place to get public involved with this too.
All right. And D would be the April as Child Abuse Awareness and the Pinwheel Garden Resolution. Again, thank you, Liz. Could you share some more about that?
Yes, and actually, it's not a resolution, it's a proclamation. This is what we have done in the last couple of years, designated April as Child Abuse Awareness, Prevention and Awareness Month, and working with the BGYA, planting a pinwheel garden. And Bob MacArthur had made a really nice suggestion that this year, if we do this, instead of doing our pinwheels just in front of Old Town Hall like we did last year, maybe spreading them out through the village where we normally would plant the petunias for streetscape. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just all the time of DPW to plant the pinwheels for us, our volunteers from the BGYA.
And would anybody like to support a motion for that?
I make a motion to approve the proclamation recognizing April as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month, and plant a pinwheel garden for Prevention Garden page to show our community support.
Support?
All right. Motion by trustee Ashman, supported by trustee Robinson. Any further questions, comments?
Question, to implant a pinwheel garden for prevention garden page. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
I think for prevention
just-
garden page should be struck.
Yep,
Yeah,
so it'll be,
I don't know where I got that from.
I was looking at it, I'm like,
I know, when I read it, I was
What
like,
does
okay, I'm
that-
just gonna read
That
it.
doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I think that they had asked about promoting it on your website
Pinwheel
page too.
Garden.
So I think that's where Page came in and
Maybe.
somehow got incorporated in it with that.
All right, so Liz, would you read the motion for us and we'll vote?
To approve proclamation recognizing April as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month and sorry, I'm all tongue-tied tonight. Awareness Month, and plant a pinwheel garden to show our community support.
Is that good, Dan?
Check.
Is that good,
Much
Mark?
better.
Yes.
All right. And any other questions?
And that's gonna, we're gonna keep it where it was in the past. Because this is just saying about the proclamation, but we're not approving it to be dispersed throughout the community where the petunias are. This is gonna be where it's been in the past. Is that correct? We're not
Well,
talking about that, 'cause it's,
I'd like to do it with, in conjunction with the BGYA and spread it out a little bit, but that's up to the council. If you want it just in front of Old Town Hall, we can do it just in front
Yeah,
of
we're
Old
just
Town Hall.
committing to plant a
Right.
We're just
pinwheel
doing
garden, but we
pinwheels.
could do
Anywhere.
them
Yeah.
wherever we want or more than one if we want.
okay, so we'll discuss that we can discuss that later. It's not happening right now.
Well, I think unless anybody has concerns over it, it's perfectly fine for them to change where they're planting them, correct? Does anybody have any concerns
Oh,
at all? Do any of us have concerns about BGYA choosing where to put the pinwheels in town?
I would like to know where they're gonna put them, and I'd like to know where that's, yeah. I'd like,
Okay.
to, so we can discuss where they,
So when BGYA knows, you want them to let you know where they're going?
I think wasn't it suggested to put it where the petunias are,
Right.
on the
but it's gonna be
corners
like
of the?
throughout all the corners then, right? Where all the petunias are. It's
Well,
like
we
throughout
could keep
petunias.
it more localized, like from South Street down to Old Town Hall, those corners and,
The main corners.
yeah.
I think having them spread out is a good idea. I mean, I saw them last year, and they just kind of, it looked like we just kind of threw them
They
there.
were planted there.
Spreading them out
Yeah.
will, I think, spread the joy, I think.
Just wanted, like, what their ideas are, so.
All right, so we have a motion by trustee Eshman, supported by trustee Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Liz, would you like to talk about the import tariffs?
And this was just an FYI only for council, to let you know that the import tariffs that the government placed on other countries does have a trickle-down effect. We have noticed some of the items we order, specifically if they're plastics, we get an import or a surcharge, and it's due to the tariff, and it's the supplier trickling their cost down to us. So to date, it's been less than $50, and I think the tariff was imposed maybe in April of last year. Not sure if that's right or not, but anyway, just an FYI for you guys.
So can we buy it cheaper from something made in the United States? And have we checked that? That's the whole purpose of it, right?
The one thing that is hard for me to check is when we order from Office Depot, I have no way of knowing until we get the invoice that there was a tariff on there.
But now
So-
that we know, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Can we buy 'em
But I don't know
cheaper?
what item, I'm ordering that's gonna
Oh.
cause that surcharge. The one thing,
They should say that.
the biggest surcharge we've had so far was the doggy waste bags. So that plastic comes from China, and the supplier that we've used in the past charged us an 8% surcharge because of the tariff,
yeah, we may
Yeah,
not
maybe
want
I-
to receive any bags from China right now.
right?
Right, right.
Including
So-
bubble wrap.
So it might behoove us to look for a U.S. Supplied bag.
Amazon or eBay maybe have doggy waste bags.
Well, and luckily, the
Amazon's got
amount I
everything.
ordered, it'll be almost a year before we need doggy bags again, so.
How many did we order last time? Do you remember?
We just ordered 3 boxes, and last year when we ordered 2
No one's
boxes,
gonna
it
be
lasted us
touching
like
those
8 months.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, it does seem pretty
I know.
minimal. at
That's
least,
okay. These things are important to me.
Okay.
And next up, we have the lead and copper rules, and that would be Dale, please.
This is just a piece of information that I received from another community in the state where they're trying to take a position on the lead and copper rules, and they are inquiring of other villages and other communities across the state to join them in some litigation to try to bring some of these things to fruition, or to bring them for more discussion. And I'm just saying, I'm presenting it to you so you can see what it is, and certainly it's an important issue, but it's not something I recommend to you that we join in starting litigation.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because we don't have any supply lines in our community to service.
Anybody have any questions for Dale on that? All right, item 12 is our unfinished business, and first is the building department fee schedule. Any updates on that, Liz?
I don't have anything to report on that at this time.
All right. The village master plan is our next item. Anything to report on that?
Well, it's with the planning commission right now for review. They plan to, the next step would be for the planning commission to recommend to council to approve and adopt the plan. And so, I mean, it's just part of the process. So they will be meeting in March. I anticipate to have that to you at the March meeting. But we are past the 63-day review period.
And the only two letters that we received are the two letters of input?
Correct.
So far,
Correct.
to this point, yes. Okay,
And there was nothing that was not consistent that was noted from any of those either.
correct. All right. Next is the joint parks and recreation master plan. And can we get any updates on that, please?
Yep, I know that they obviously have been submitted on time, as Liz mentioned. February 1st was the due date on those, so we got those in. There was a request to Fred to supply 2 more documents. One was just a basic diagram of the village parks and where those 4 village parks are located, simple stuff like that. The other one was just as simple. He sent those in, they said thank you, and yeah, they're going to be approved very soon.
So I think we're just waiting on the final hard copy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Great.
so process went pretty smooth. And I say on that, just from a putting it together standpoint, Fred was very, very good on that. I also, Kathy Thurman on that came in and had input. It was fun working with her. I thought very good ideas, very calm, very organized, and came up with some real good things in that process also. So it was fun working with those two, and then Liz, of course, also big contributor on that as far as just the whole process going smooth. And I want to thank the council for getting it through. Once it's through, now we can apply for some grants, which we're doing now. So I'm pleased with it.
Yeah, I do think that we, as Dan suggested, we do need to start following up by starting to collect more specific components that we want to see in the next iteration of that plan. So maybe you could discuss how we can start capturing that and start getting people's input for that.
Do it all. Yep, all right.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Pat, for your contributions to that as well. All right. And D would be the draft emergency plan. We're continuing as Oakland County is tweaking their items before we change a few things in ours due to their best practices. E will be the Ready Development Ready Community, and we passed a resolution on that. The next step was to have somebody from the village and somebody from Planning Commission as well go through the training on that. Matt Jenkins from the DDA has already been trained. Dale stepped forward and would like to be trained for the village. And for Planning Commission, Melanie Nivelt stepped forward, and she also will be doing that. I have taken the first half of the training, just so we have it in general. I invite you to go on the website and check it out and see if you're interested in any of those. They have the webinars. Everything is complimentary, so you're more than welcome to kind of keep up and see what it's going to entail and, you know, what processes each entity is kind of involved in. It's going to be fun because it does include all three entities working together, and you kind of each have your own part, and we kind of work together as a team and can get this redevelopment ready certification. And next up is the Ortonville Wildlife Preservation Park signage. Do we have any updates, Liz?
I have nothing to report at this time.
All
So-
right.
That'd be the wayfinding committee?
Well, yeah, but we passed it along.
We didn't.
Oh.
to-
Oh, for that
We did.
signage.
So,
yeah.
have you gotten any,
I haven't even had a chance to do that yet, so
all right,
it's on my list of things to do.
do you need help doing that?
I would love some help doing that.
I could
Are you
help. I
volunteering?
could, well, we're
turn
looking for options on what the sign would look like, so I can certainly forward you some thoughts there
Oh, that
for
would be
council's
wonderful.
consideration.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Would you like input from others on the council too? I would get our thoughts too.
You volunteering?
I can come up with thoughts for signs.
Because I'll step aside if you want to go.
Well, I mean, I'd prefer to let the wayfinding committee come up with at least some concepts, but, you know, if we're gonna move ahead without them, then,
Well, this is gonna be temporary
Yeah,
signage.
this
Yeah.
is just,
then we
Yeah.
can all probably throw some ideas out there in
Huh?
terms of types of signs.
I mean, we weren't gonna go all the way down the wayfinding road
Right.
for this.
All right, so we will have a couple people give input to Liz for that. G is the bids for the zoning ordinances, and Liz, we want to repeat that again, just
Well,
for
yeah,
fun?
Larry already touched base on that in his
Yeah.
committee report.
Correct.
How many bids we get?
We have two.
2?
2 came back.
We requested from 3 companies and 2 responded.
So 2 of 3 came back.
And H is our Crosman Park drain, which Dan got a chance to touch on some concerns on that. Those will be duly noted. Anything else, Dale, that you can share with us, updates besides, I know you have already a couple minutes ago, but anything else?
Well, no, it's going to be a significant issue for the council to deal with, because no matter what route we follow to resolve it, it's going to be a lot of money. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate continuing on with the next steps, seeing the best fit for this. I is the SISMA grants and the Phragmites treatments. I know we've discussed that and come back full circle to where we will need assistance with that. If we choose to manage that, that will be happening in the spring. That would entail, Bob attends the SISMA meetings, and that would entail putting in a grant request from them to start that process. It is a 2-year process for those. So that might be something that we would like to consider getting on if we plan on, because as I said, it takes 2 years before the treatment takes effect, so.
And I would like to, I do have some concerns about that, because I have read a little bit about exactly what they have to do to get rid of Phragmites, and it basically involves using very strong herbicides to completely kill everything. And I do have some concerns about the potential secondary effects on, habitat and environment by trying to kill an invasive like Phragmites. You're killing everything in that area, so I do have some concerns. Would want to make sure that we are very careful and consider the possible other ramifications to the habitat if we're involved with this treating. I understand it makes sense where we have a specific issue like a drainage situation that's impacted, but I think we need to be careful in moving forward in this direction.
And I
And-
thought over a year ago that it was discussed as far as Bob, and then we decided that because there's so much involved, that we weren't going to pursue Bob doing this, that we were just gonna subcontract it, so.
He cannot do it. He's not certified, and he would not be allowed to. So when they came out here, they kind of gave us 3 hot spots that are their main concerns in the way of drainage, and how it's affecting, obviously, other things. And they kind of pinpointed those spots for us on the map. At that point, like I said, Bob thought that that was possible. As he attended the meetings, he realized how the process works, and like I said, he's encouraging to continue to look at the grants for that. Dale, I know, received some of the information, and he'll get a chance to look through and kind of see what's best. Is that correct?
Yes.
I do know, just to add into that, that one of the 2 primary herbicides used to treat for Phragmites is the one that's the active ingredient in Roundup. And in Europe, they are banning that because of issues that are linking it to human cancer and stuff. So that's why, like I said, is I do have some concerns about what sort of chemicals we're going to be using to treat this stuff, and I think we need to make sure that we don't have unintended consequences, that's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as with any herbicide or any other chemical, there's proper PPE you have to follow. So if you have a licensed applicator, they're going to follow all those necessary requirements to apply it, right? Including signage within so many feet of the applied area, wells, I guess, documented that we're going to be doing this ahead of time. All those things would be followed. So as with anything, you fill your gas can up, I'd have a concern over lighting a cigarette over that gas tank too, right? But we're smart enough about it. So if you have the information, you follow the SDS guidelines for proper use of the chemical, it can be done, all right?
Yeah. Well, they used DDT a lot until they found out the negative side impact it had. So, I mean,
Well, they're not,
we don't always
They're
know
inhaling
everything
the
up in
stuff.
front. So,
They
you
don't
know,
have the
I'm just
proper
saying
mask.
we should be just proceed with caution and only where necessary is my feeling.
I think that goes without saying.
All right, so that's where we're at for now. Like I said, just as an update, and definitely looking at the concerns before the process begins. Next up is the documents on demand volunteer request. We kind of discussed about the possibility of having a volunteer to do that. Would like to have council's permission for the village office to go ahead and pursue that, to reach out to a volunteer and have a volunteer come in to do that. Do we have any concerns with that? How would we like that to?
Would that be a volunteer that would be getting like community service hours for doing that?
That's the thought process at this point.
Okay.
You know, if it was
Discuss this
anything
last
different,
month.
obviously we'd
are
discuss
these
it.
sensitive documents?
Well, as we talked about it last month when we talked about, I'm sorry, and we asked Dale, was there a concern with it? Dale, what do you think on that? Is there a concern with the documents that are going to be scanned and put on?
They're public record.
For the most part, they are just part of the public records of your meetings. So it's just a matter of keeping
Okay.
the stories. There isn't anything, we don't have any document that would have some quotable source in it or something.
Sensitive stuff, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so our council packets would not be a concern for uploading?
Say that again?
Our council packets going up into DOD would not be a concern?
You can FOIA it anytime.
Okay. If they're
Transparency.
foilable, then shouldn't be
Right.
a problem.
So, like I said, just wanted to get, if anybody had any thoughts or concerns on that before they kind of pursued getting assistance. And item K would be the Narren Street sidewalk engineering quote that we had done. That kind of has dropped off the wayside when I was looking at things of 2019 that had been on our unfinished business. So I guess, are we going to do anything with it? Are we going to set it aside? What is the plan? We never really, like I said, it dropped off. We didn't make a decision. So
I've
I'd just
gotten
like to
an
do that.
additional quote from the engineering firm that you had used in the past to give us to quote to bring those documents up to date, because the documents have already been prepared at one point in time for bids. And I'll have that to you at the next meeting to make it a determination if you want to spend that additional amount of money or not.
And I don't know if it's a point of clarification or if I missed something, but I thought the engineering was for Ball, Myron, and Narren.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
We should specify that.
Okay, and are all of these sidewalk plans, including this one, are they all somehow included in the developing capital improvement plan we're working on?
Sidewalks are, yes.
Okay.
In general, right?
We had money budgeted
Yeah, we did
aside a
that
couple
2
years
years
ago,
ago.
and with the transition of managers, and then there wasn't the proper oversight on that, and the ball got dropped, and then we had another transition. Otherwise, we had money, I think it was $60,000 for sidewalks, and but then winter came and all that, and it fell through, so.
And when Bill looked at it in the spring, it had more than doubled the price, and that's why we halted at that point. Concrete had gone way up, and they couldn't do it. So that's
Okay.
that's where it was. And then, like I said, we just kind of dropped it. Have we revisited that, or have we decided not to?
Okay,
You know,
yeah, I see it.
After you spend
I see it in the
17,000.
draft plan we have already. Narrenball, Myren, 60,000. Proposed year 2018-19. Well, I guess we missed that.
Yeah.
So Dale has a chance
So we
to
still
kind of
are-
research for us and keep that on the table.
Get them done.
All right, and number 13 will be the village manager's report, and we have the DPW report and as well as Dan's.
Only what I provided you before in printing is all that I have for the report at this time.
Excellent. So as always, if you have any questions on either one of those, you can talk to Dale or to Bob.
I'm not sure.
Guy's been busy, I can see that.
And good luck to them this week. All right, next up is 14. That will be our public comments, and those are on non-agenda items only. If you have anything to share with us that you'd like to, please step up and tell us.
Share something. It's just, as you know, I'm Ron Sutton, I live at 57 Church Street, but I just wanted to bring you up to speed on where the blacksmith shop stands. We haven't had any meetings, so your village representative couldn't report on some of these things, but we got the final approval on electrical this week. The only thing we lack to have the building complete is a door sill in front of the big sliding doors. When that's done, we can get the final, and the building will be done. Now, I've got a quote on the cement. We're going to have a 20 by 24 slab of cement out front. We have a contractor lined up to do that, and we were figuring it was going to cost about $3,000. Luckily, our bid come in at $2,180. That's good. The only thing that could change that is that's a bid on the cement prices this fall. Last year, we was in the same thing with the footings and the flooring. Cement went up $18 a yard last year, so, but even if it does go up, we're still under budget. We are going to have a second coat of stain put on the outside because it's not dark enough to suit us, and we are having eave troughs put on, which the second coat and the eave trough is up to us because that was, in the bid, there was one coat and no eave trough, so that's something we feel. We find that the water, when it rains, is bouncing up pretty high on the exterior siding, and we know that's going to cause us a problem in the end. So we have a blacksmith lined up. I talked to him this week. He's very enthusiastic about getting started. In fact, he's training a helper. He is a local man, and we will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony sometime in the spring, which you people will all be notified of. And as of now, we do have the money to complete the cement, the eave trough, and the stain and everything. So we're really in good shape. So it's just, and we finally got our lock on the door, which was a problem because of the thickness of the door. They couldn't get proper hardware without special order, and that's done and installed. So we hope to have demonstrations with blacksmiths sometime this spring and summer. So just a courtesy to the council to bring you up to date.
Thanks, Ron.
If
you.
you have
We're
any
excited.
questions, but it's really looking good.
Good.
And we're getting just a ton of good comments from the citizens, and the lady that's our historical representative from the
In the county.
county, she's mentioned how it's gone through the county and a lot of people know about it, so
She's fabulous. She knows so
Yeah.
much.
she's
a
makes the
wealth of
rest of
knowledge.
us kind of ashamed of ourselves
Yeah, she
sometimes.
knows a lot.
But anyway, I just wanted you people to know that things are going well and it's very, very close. Thank
Well,
you.
we appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Anybody else? Public comments? All right. Next up will be the items from our trustees. Colleen, would you like to start down there?
Last month, Dan brought up about checking out the engineering and attorney services for review, because some of the, as you know, some of our services, some of them, I think, could be, some of them are subpar, or they need to be evaluated. So I know that was brought up, and we were going to evaluate those, just checking on the status of that. The Old Mill sign, I spoke with Dale about, because I know I mentioned this late last quarter about getting that sign up because of the Historical Society, so Dale will be following up with DPW. I also just want to wish Pete Valentine, who will be leaving the DPW very shortly, good luck in his future, and thanks for all his hard work on the DPW staff. And I also would just like to make a point that a comment was made at our last meeting about slave labor, and I just want that, I've received comments about that, and I think that it was inappropriate, and I, as a council member, do not agree with that terminology, and I think that President Bryce needs to apologize to the community for that comment, and that should do it for me.
All right. Thank you. Mark?
A little over a week ago, I took my grandchildren to the sledding hill, and although it was a lot of fun and it was operating well and everything, but there were some dangers, a dangerous issue with the fence on the right-hand side as you're going down. There's, fence post and just a couple of rails, and my grandson, for one, he was able to, he slid under and got caught up and hit one of the posts pretty hard. So there was some safety issues, and I just know with the upcoming snowfall, I brought it up to Fred's attention. We got to make sure that, before people go out there and use it again, and all that's addressed and fixed and all that, so.
Luckily, he wasn't hurt.
He was hurt, and he had to go to the hospital, so, yeah. So I just want to make sure it doesn't happen to anybody else out there.
Did you contact Fred at all? And
Yeah,
let
I
him know?
spoke with
Okay,
Fred.
Perfect. Thank you.
Beginning of last week,
Good.
Well, good thing he wasn't hurt too bad.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I'm first of all, I want to say I hope I wish the DPW good luck with the upcoming snow that we're expecting this week, because I know they're going to be working hard. So I wish them the best in that endeavor. I also have seen a lot of different notifications from various sources like SEMCOG, Oakland County, MML, Michigan Planning Association, et cetera, about a lot of what looks like very interesting training opportunities coming up. I see Colleen's going to be taking advantage of at least one of those, and I would encourage everybody on the council to look over those communications that come out and see what sort of training opportunities there are, because I think that Zoning Board of Appeals one we went to was really good, and I would like to see more of us get supplement our knowledge with more of those. I've seen some that I think I'm going to be interested in trying to put in for. So just want to hope everybody else is looking at those the same way and looking for opportunities to improve themselves.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
And I'm good. I'm okay.
I'd just like to remind the fellow trustees and Dale, I know we talked about a little bit about doing something at the end of Narren Street in reference to the DPW, our existing DPW structure. I don't want to see that go by the wayside, and I just think as long as we're aware that something's going to happen at some point, not to put it in at the top of your brain, and just kind of think about it a little bit. We are limited in space at the DPW, the equipment that we are buying and have bought. It's already been, we're made aware that we're storing it outside. It's done its job. That Quonset hut is from World War II. I think we can do better, and I think we have to at some point. Free up some land, but as long as you think about it, and maybe we can, shoot it around a little bit as to what can happen over the next couple of years or something, and so I'm just challenging everybody to think about it. It's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
Let's add that into the
Just
line
what-
item in this capital improvement. program.
Well, that's what I mean. When that comes up,
I don't see it
That's
in
our
there yet, so
opportunity.
that's a good point to add in.
To the councilman's point, I would just like council to be aware that Bob and I have discussions on those things and elements of those things on a regular basis. And so we explore what and try to prioritize what makes most sense for us to look at first. But we are looking at all that. We're looking at how to best utilize the space we have.
good. All right. I still wanted to go off the rails.
Yeah.
As long as we think about it on occasion, and maybe we can move forwards to that.
You're right, that has slipped off.
Yep.
Thank you.
You know, and if I could also bring up, I know we've talked about it in the last couple of meetings that we want to be prepared for some road repairs. We're all aware that there's a few of these roads that it's more patchwork than there is actual road.
Yeah.
So I know you were gonna look to see about getting some bids, and we better do that sooner than later, before it's too late again.
So we can get the ground
We will continue to look at all those things, but what I know that you are all painfully aware of, we unfortunately have a list of things that we need to do that's set up like this. And we have the financial ability to complete those things over here. And we can never forget that there is a combination there. And at some point in time, we're going to need to sit down, you as a counselor are going to sit down and say, let's look at maybe a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. What are we going to go after? Because the unfortunate thing is, every one of these things you talk about has some priority and some importance all by itself. So I can't sit back here and say, well, what Dan is suggesting that we look at isn't as important as what Colleen is talking about, because each one of them is equally important. But it comes down to, with the present method we have of obtaining funding, there's just only so much you can do. I mean, look at, if we could get grants, every grant that you look to get has a match. Well, you only have so much money to match with. So let's say with the roads, how much would it cost to fix all of the roads the way they should be throughout the village? Probably $10 million. We don't have enough match money anywhere to match a grant for something like that. So, and Dan and I have talked about this before, and I hope we'll do some more. So we have to look at some very creative ways of dealing with all of that. And at some point in time, both for the residents' sake and for your sake, so we have to sit down and say, okay, of all of these pressing needs, what is the most pressing? And then start doing a little bit at a time. If we can only do a block of street at a time, let's do the block. And not just keep putting it off for another time. But it is, it's like when you look at the list of things that we can examine and things that we can look at, whether it's Liz looking at it or me looking at it or someone else, we've got very small staff too. And there's only so many things along with what we have to do every day that we can do to attack some of these things. And a lot of them need some in-depth evaluation before you can get there. So I'm just encouraging you that we need to be realistic with ourselves with all of these things and work on them, but know that there's just something that are going to be beyond our grasp.
Yeah, just to add to it, I'm sorry, it's, we talk about grants, it's not free money. It costs money to get additional grant money. Today, we I think, approved at least looking into roughly $26,000 worth of parks and recreation money, all right, $26,000. I would like us to start focusing on maybe grant money that will support our infrastructure such as roads or pick a street or whatever, but, I'd much rather see, okay, not that Parks and Recreation is not important. Yeah, we are focusing on our ballparks and the concession stand, and yeah, that would be nice, one check off, but future grant applications need to be looked at in our infrastructure and our roads.
If I could just add to that, Dan, that kind of fits in with what you were saying earlier about having to have some specific details about projects that you're looking at. And this is where having at least some kind of a capital improvement plan where we list these different things and potential for when we might get to them, that really does help us when we go to those grant applications, because then we can say, yeah, you can see this is our list of things, this is what we have targeted to do, and that's why we're applying for this grant at this time for this road, et cetera. So I think it would be a good idea if we could maybe, at one of our upcoming council meetings before our budgeting process, maybe at least do a quick review of, during one of our meetings, of the current capital improvement plan draft and get all of our input into it so we can try to firm that up a little better.
Good point. Mark, did you have anything else? We kind of left you over there.
Oh, number 2. No, I'm joking. I'm done.
You're all done? All right. I also wanted to say thank you very much to Matt Bailey. We wish him well. He will be resigning from the DDA board, and he has accepted a church in Plymouth. And he will be leaving in March. So we say thank you and goodbye to him. Same with Pete as well. We wish him well on his new job. He's going in the opposite direction to the UP. So we wish him well in his beautiful new dig.
I'm jealous.
Yes.
Going to the UP.
Beautiful up there. And on last Monday, I had a chance to attend the Oakland County kickoff for the 2020 census. The Oakland County Executive, the Attorney General, the Oakland County Commissioners, were all there to kind of help get us set and figured out what where our spots are that we need to concentrate on different communities. So I got a chance to do that, and more information will be posted, more information will be going out, information will also be in the paper, so keep an eye out for that. April 1st is the actual mailing of the items to the community. And that is
I have
all
a question
I
for you.
have. Go right ahead.
As far as,
To my comment. Go ahead.
What's that?
as far as Matt Bailey, does the DDA know who's going to take his place for the wayfinding?
No, they'll have to do interviews for the board and then decide who's going to be on the board, and then I think somebody will then have to do. So, talk to the rest of your wayfinding committee, but I don't see a problem with continuing to have a meeting or two before that's in place. I know they would like to bring somebody to the board in March, because they obviously don't want holes on the board. So that's all I know at this point, because that was decided after the last meeting, that he took the position. So we didn't know that,
Okay.
in time for a meeting. All right.
And one other question as it relates to the census. You might want to explain to our community who is watching today how the census actually positively affects our community, not only for numbers, but it's financially too, right? So, we get government money in a roundabout way, and it is based off of, the numbers in our community, where people are at, et cetera, so.
Right.
Agree. I
And we have a
provided-
chance to have somebody come and speak at March, and they'll be able to do that for us and share that right before we start.
I
So,
provided
I
the
appreciate that.
information. I attended the webinar and census, and I provided information in all of your packets last month, and Liz also put it on our webpage as well. I giving in the information that it's very important that everybody's counted so that we can get the grant money, the federal money.
All right. So next up, we have item 16, which is our adjournment.
Okay, I'll just bring it up next month then.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support?
All right. Motion by Councilman Butzu, supported by Councilman Hayden, to adjourn at 8:31 PM. All in favor?
It's in there.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
No.